the future here. I decided to separate these videos into part 1 and part 2 because it would have been over an hour long otherwise, and I just didn't want to do that to you guys, so I'm making it a bit more palatable. But so here I am saying hello my loves, welcome back to part 2 of reading BookTok book recs. That's the title, right? Something like that. Welcome back. This is part 2 of me reading booktokers book recs that I found on my followers or For You page. I found them on TikTok. I've had a great time so far, and I mean now I'm done because it's me from the future, but when you're seeing me this is halfway through. It doesn't really make sense in my head either, but it's going to make sense when I edit this. Anyways, let's get on with the last 3 books. This book I picked up or added to my TBR and then picked up because the wonderful Mac recommended it to me, and that is A Language of Dragons. She had the hardback copy, and I think she removed the hard dust cover on it, and it was stunning. Like, it was a dragon like standing on like the lower part of the cover, and then I think there were buildings in the background. It was gorgeous, but I bought the paperback because that was all they had, and in Sweden books are quite expensive, especially pocket books this size, and especially in store, so you know my wallet probably wouldn't have been able to handle buying this in hardback. But I enjoyed looking at hers. But this cover and version is also stunning. This is by S.F. Williamson, which is also no author for me. I don't know if this is her debut book. She might have written other stuff. I really have like no idea. Let's not spoil ourselves. Let's not. Let's just skim. I want to know how many pages. Let's not. I don't want to see the spoilers. Where are the pages at the top? 469. 469 pages. That's doable. That's not. This doesn't feel very long after having read For the Fans. So the wonderful Mac recommended me this. I mean, all she had to say really was London in the 1900s and dragons, and it was described, I believe, as dark academia meets fantasy, and I love it. I love it already. We're in London in 1923, and dragons soar through the sky, and Vivian Featherswallow isn't worried. She's going to follow the rules and get an internship studying dragon languages. But by midnight, Viv has started a civil war, which I'm very curious about finding out how she did that. So her parents are arrested, her sister disappears, and Vivian feels like the safety that she has had previously has just collapsed all around her, which, you know, yeah, I would have felt that way too. So she's all alone, but she's recruited for a mysterious job, a job that would mean that she would uncover the secrets of a hidden dragon language. That's what it says. And if she succeeds, she and her family can all go and live happily ever after, but if she fails, they will all die. So high stakes, we love that. The more she finds out, the more she realizes that the safe bubble that she grew up in might not be as safe as she believed it was, and eventually she will have to decide which war she is going to be fighting. So that's pretty much the blurb. On the back, I love this, we have, why did you turn yellow? Why, it's done this before. Why does my camera do that? Anyways, I'm yellow now. A dragon around Big Ben. I love that detail. That was so pretty. So, we are going to be starting A Language of Dragons. I need to find my bookmark. I know I brought one. I brought 2 actually. I came prepared. I came here with 3 books and I already have 7. I've been here for less than a week. I showed up with 3 books and the pile has already risen with 4 more books. Let's jump into this fantasy book. I've been in a fantasy mood really lately, like a big fantasy mood, so we're excited. I want a dragon tattoo. I told my tattooist that when I was at her place last. I said, next time we're doing a dragon tattoo, we're doing a book tattoo, and we're doing 2 more that I'm not going to tell you about just yet. You'll find out eventually. just gonna read you the first sentence because it's amazing. I'm dreaming in Draconic again. I assume that's the dragon language. I'm gonna have to learn a new fantasy world. I don't know if my brain can handle that. I always feel stupid reading the first chapters of a fantasy book, but hey, don't we all? There's already a word that I don't understand. Menkenias? Mechanias? Menkenias? Menkenias? Mechanas? Where's the dictionary? Why? I feel like I need a dictionary already, and I am on page number 1. Mechanias. And then the sentence below that word is, what does it mean? I am wondering that too. I'm already intrigued. Very good beginning. A captivating beginning, I'm going to say. I already want to find out more. I love it. Thank you, Mac, for these recommendations. I mean, I thank everyone for the recommendations and for the work that they do on BookTok, because BookTok is BookTok. Hello. Both those communities are amazing and I love them both, but the people on BookTok, there's just something about them. They're so supportive and so nice and so amazing, and I love that community. So thank you for your hard work at recommending us amazing books. I really, really like it so far. I'm only 4 chapters in, but the beginning is really, really good and really, really captivating. I have to be quiet because my mum is working. She's working from home. She has a meeting, so I can't speak too loudly. So I hope you hear me. But it's really exciting so far. I have no idea of where this is gonna go. Like, I read the back of the book, as you know, but I have no idea where this is gonna go, because the things that the back tells us doesn't play out in the way that I expected it to, like assumed that it would. So anything could happen, really. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I really want to know what happens. So yay! Over 100 pages in. My mum is still working, so I have to be quiet. But I find myself talking aloud to myself a lot about this book, which generally means that I'm really invested and really, really like it, which is a good sign. As someone who has studied linguistics, English linguistics, sadly not dragon linguistics, I'm really enjoying the linguistic part of this, that the main character is a polyglot and things like that, and I catch onto a lot of things because I am like the way that she has created these different dragon languages. I find really, really interesting as someone who finds English linguistics really interesting. I'm really impressed by how she's done that. And also one of the boys, because they're like a group of people that we're being introduced to right now. I'm not saying more than that because that would spoil it. But one of the boys has my favourite boy name ever. And if I ever met a man in real life with that name, I would get down on one knee and ask him to marry me immediately, screw the rest. I would not care about any other thing except for that his first name is the first name of this boy that I am hoping might be Vivian's love interest. And this book is giving Divine Rivals vibes, but like not in the way that the stories or the world building or like anything about the books are similar, but the vibes are the same. I have the same feeling when I'm reading this as I did when I read Divine Rivals. And I guess it's that like studious, academical vibe that is the same in both of them, but it's that vibe combined with the fantasy elements that, when it's done like it is in this book and in Divine Rivals, is amazing. Like when it's executed like this, that combination between academia and fantasy is exquisite. So I'm really enjoying this. I don't want to stop reading. It's getting late though, but I'm loving it so far. Thank you, Mac, for the recommendation. Like, thank you. I owe you for this one. Oh my god, reporting back when it's finally light out. This is a rare occurrence for Sweden at this time. It's February, and this is the first day of sunlight that we have had since like September. So, you know, the sun's out, the sun's shining, and I finished A Language of Dragons last night, and oh my god, I read this in less than 24 hours. I inhaled this book. This was everything that I love in a fantasy book. And as I said, it was kind of given me, just based on vibe, not like plot structure or like the world or anything like that, but based on vibes, it was giving me Divine Rivals, and it did all the way through. The plot twist, or can you call it a plot twist, but like the unexpected thing that happened at the end, I did not see it coming. It is rare that something like that happens in a first book of what I hope to be a series. At least a duology. We need the next book. I needed the next book yesterday because, my god, when I finished it, I let out the biggest sigh, and my mum turned to me because she was sitting next to me, and she was like, "That was the biggest sigh I have ever heard. What is it?" And then I opened my mouth and I just started bawling. And my mom was like, "Oh my god, who died?" And I was like, "I don't want to talk about it." You know? Because the end of this had me gasping. Like, as I was reading it, I went, "No!" And as I said, my mom was sitting next to me and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Don't talk to me right now. I can't stop. I cannot stop." So I just, you know, consumed this entire thing in almost one setting. Who I thought was going to be the love interest wasn't the love interest. He actually turned out not to be that great of a person, and my judgment has once again been confirmed as non-reliable. It is not something that you should trust. I do not have a good character judgment, apparently. I thought I did. And then I started this YouTube channel and started talking, you know, and getting video proof of my reactions to characters upon first sight, and then finding out that, oh no, do not go there with that person. I loved the academical setting. Like, we love any academically set book where they like are forced to be in like a mansion or an academy or a school together, whatever the place may be. And they have to like study or solve something, or, you know, something like that. As I mentioned, like, as someone who has studied English linguistics and find that very interesting, the way that the like dragons were described and how they're different languages, and this secret dragon language that Vivian has to break or figure out, or solve or learn, or however you want to describe it, was so interesting to me. Like, this was something new that I have never seen anyone have this take on dragons before, and I have read relatively many dragon books or books with dragons, and this was definitely new for me, like this view on dragons and the view of dragons as, you know, people of this society, like being a part of society, the politics that would be included in that. So 5 stars. The only like minor thing that I would say I was like, no, or like, I don't know. What? The only thing that I would perhaps have as a complaint, not really criticism, but just like a minor complaint, would be that I wanted more of the romance. But also because we didn't get, because the romance was a subplot, and like, how should I explain this? Because we got much from the romance. The romantic like plot line wasn't flat at all. It was very interesting and very, you know, had me giggling and screaming and kicking my feet, which is exactly what we want. But that's because I wanted more of that too. So that's, you know, it had me going and being like, oh, what's next? What's he gonna say next? Because this guy, this was swoon worthy. This was it. It was such an adorable romance. Also, because there wasn't more of that adorable romance, it had you like flipping the page and craving more. And then at the end, you were like, oh no, no, give me more. I want more, you know? So it is still indeed definitely easily a 5-star read. This is so good. I am going to be thinking about this forever. And if you liked Roman Kit in Divine Rivals, you are going to adore Atlas King in this, because my god, I need to, oh, there was something that he said, I remember because I took a picture of it, because I was like, I need to commemorate this moment, because my god, why don't they make men like these in real life? Like, come on, where are you? This is just one sentence that Atlas King has said that had my heart beating out of my chest. If I was as impulsive as you say, Feather Swallow, I'd have kissed you 10 times already. Aww. And if you liked the priest from Fleabag, if you haven't watched Fleabag, you really, really should. You are going to love Atlas King. Atlas King is like a young version of the priest from Fleabag and Roman Kit from Divine Rivals combined. And you know, before I read a certain like part of the book when it comes to their romance, I said that it was giving me Divine Rivals vibes, and then they started passing notes back and forth in the pages of books, and I was like, I'm spot on the money. Like, it is giving Divine Rivals. I need someone that I know to read this so that I can talk to them about it, because oh my god. Thank you, Mac, for recommending this to me. I am obsessed. I love this. It's the first 5-star of this video. Been a couple of days. I took a little break because the books that I was going to read next for this video hadn't been delivered yet, so I took a couple of days. I read some new releases that had come out that I was very eager to get to, but now we are back. But the book that we are starting, we are not starting with this book, we're like 4 books deep into this video now. I saw Amy May's video from I think a few months back now, where she read the arc for this book, so I put this book on my TBR or my want to read because of her video before the book was even out, you know, as happens. But it's rare that I'm like taking recommendations that haven't been released yet, because normally new releases for me are like an author I've read before, like a continuation of a series, or you know, this is completely new for me, and that is The Rose bargain. And can we just take a minute? Like, please, let's take a minute for this cover, because it is stunning. Look at those rings entwined with the rose as like the diamond. It's gorgeous. It's been a while since I saw that video of Amy Mays where she read this as an arc and she absolutely loved it, and I immediately put it on my TBR because the way she described it was just made it sound so interesting, and it probably is interesting, like, you get what I mean. So, every citizen of England is granted one bargain from their immortal Fae Queen. And that is all I'm going to be giving you, because I don't want to spoil anything. But look at this. So, I am a person who reads without the dust jacket. How do people, like, easily remove them, like, so smoothly? I am not smooth, clearly, because that was so smooth. Oh, wow, there we go. It turned yellow again. Why does it keep... My camera keeps doing this and I don't know why. I have a lot of pimples on my forehead apparently. I'm about to get my period and my face is breaking out. Love being a woman. I actually really do. When I have books like these in my hand, recommended from amazing women, like all of the booktokers that I have been talking about in this video and the ones to come, that's when I love being a woman the most. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with the fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. That was deep. William Buckley Yeats. Take pains, be perfect. William Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. She's speaking my language. She's talking then. Oh, and the decorations. Look at that little leaf whirly thingy. We love it. It's in the details. The devil's in the details. 1471, the War of the Roses. Oh, we are kicking it off well. So I just filmed the whole entire reading update on the Rose Bargain and it wasn't saved, so we have to start over. I am like 130 pages into the Rose Bargain. I am having a great time. I am really enjoying it. Kind of giving like Bridgerton, a little bit of Pride and Prejudice vibe. It's like the fairy prince Bram is like Mr. Bingley, except he's confident and not a bumbling fool, but he has the same like kindness and the, you know, the kind eyes, and he's the one that everyone wants, you know. And then his like adoptive brother, who is a human prince, Prince Emmett, is giving a bit Mr. Darcy vibes, except that he has the reputation of a rake, and he comes off as like cocky and a bit arrogant and a bit cold maybe even, but then when you actually get to know him, he's very sweet. And there are like little hints of other things going on that are strewn around that you're like, wait, what was that? That was weird. And then you're like, that was weird, and so on. But it's also giving a bit like Bachelorette, you know. It's the Bridgerton vibes because of the time and the place it is set in. And then, you know, you have to, when you read a new fantasy book, you have to like learn the rules of the game, kind of. So it's a fairy queen who's immortal, who rules in England, and everyone has a chance to make a bargain with her, just one in their lifetime. And when girls, like rich girls, come out for their seasons, they make so-called rose bargains with the queen, which is normally for something like a better singing voice or a more luscious hair or a prettier smile, or, you know, it's supposed to be something that makes it easier for them to marry a higher ranking man, kind of. And I love how the main character is like, this is kind of fucked. This whole system is rigged against us. So we have a main character who, because her sister's coming out season went to shit, she and her family are on the outsides of English society. And when all the girls find out that Prince Bram is this season going to be looking for a wife, and any of these girls who are coming out can sign up to like compete for his hand, she decides that this is the only way that I can get my family's name back in its old standing and make my mother happy again. So she signs up, and then like games and trials start, and we all love that. But there are things going on with Prince Emmett, there's things going on with Prince Bram, there's things going on with the other combatants, and of course there's things going on with our main character. So there's a lot of like mysteries going on, and a lot of things that you're like, that's a bit off, I need to remember that for when something happens with that later, but I'm having a great time. It's very fast-paced, the writing's really good, the world building is intriguing, I love it, so I'm just going to keep reading. We love moments like this where he sees injuries on her and he goes, "What happened to you?" And she says, "I tripped." And then he says, "Why are you lying to me?" Why are you lying to him? Like, come on. The boy is worried. I know why she's lying, but still, like, oh, we love a good "what happened to you" moment. Like, there's something about them. I don't want to delve into the psychology of why we love moments like that, so let's just leave that there, because it's so sweet. The Rose Bargain. I finished it the night before last, and I ended up giving it a 3.5, because it was good, it was fun, it was entertaining, I had a good time, the world building was good, but I felt like it was a bit too much of a like insta-love. Like, the love triangle characters each of the boys had like interacted with her 3, maybe 4 times, and then it's like, oh, he's desperately in love with you now, he would do anything for you, we can use that. And I was like, how is he desperately in love with you when you've been alone once? Or like you've had 3 conversations, like the romantic relationships lack depth, which for me made the point that could have been heartbreaking and like really like I kill me now feelings weren't they didn't affect me as much, because the relationships didn't have that depth that would have made those moments really, really painful for me as a reader, because I was like, oh, this would have really hurt if I actually believed they loved each other this much, but because the depth to the romantic relationship wasn't there, like from how I lived it and felt it, I felt like that fell a little bit flat, and that was just like, okay, like, you're young, you'll get over it. It was kind of, you didn't buy that they were that, like, obsessively in love with each other. I had a good time, I really enjoyed it, I would recommend it, especially for my YA lovers, because it was fun, like, it was. The jumping between, like, we had a main character whose perspective we always read from, but then sometimes there were chapters thrown in from the perspective of the other, like, bachelorettes, or like the other girls competing for his heart, and at one point one of the other boys as well as the main character's sister at another point. And I get why she did that, but towards the end, when like the action was starting to happen and then suddenly we jump into another girl's perspective, I'm like, I don't really want to read this, I'm just reading it to get through it, to get to the actual point, so I felt like sometimes they were poorly like timed, because I didn't actually care to learn about those that specific girl then, because I just wanted to get back to the story. Will I read the next book? Maybe. It's not that high on my, like, I'm not like, oh, I really wish that the next book was out because I need it in my hand right now, I'm desperate for it. It's not that feeling. But if I don't have that many other books to read, or maybe if I find it as an audiobook, the second book, maybe I'll have a listen to it instead, but I'm not like gasping to get my hands on the second book. Reading is subjective, not everyone's going to love every single thing, which is fine, and you know, every person's rating system is different, and just because BookTok recommended something that you didn't enjoy, that doesn't mean that BookTok was lying or that people were like purposefully leading you astray and letting you down. So I just want to put that out there because I've seen a lot of discourse around that, and I do not agree with the whole, you know, BookTok is lying to us. I didn't love this book, so you on BookTok must be liars. Like, I don't vibe with that at all. Reading is subjective. Something that I recommend you might not be for you, so I implore each and every one to do their own research before they buy and pick up a book that someone has recommended to you. Like, at least read the blurb to see if it's something that you'll actually like, you know? Because BookTok quotes can sound good, and then you pick up the actual book and you're like, this is actually not for me. So it's important to do your own research as well. But this was good. I had a fun time. Now we are jumping into the last book of this video, or these videos, because I am going to have to split these videos into a part 1 and part 2. And this was recommended to me by one of my favorite booktubers and booktokers to watch, because her vibe is just amazing, and she's funny, she's just, I don't know, her videos are comforting to me, and I love just putting on one of her videos and chilling and just having a good time. So this was recommended by What Emmy Reads. She raved about this on her BookTok, and I immediately added it to my TBR. I started it yesterday, so I am 70 pages in. So far, it's fast-paced. It might be a bit too fast-paced in the beginning, because we're jumping into the story right after a major event has happened that we don't get to experience with the reader, because the book starts after that has happened. And so it's kind of like the main character gets these memories, but she's not talking outright about them, even in her own mind, to the reader, so we don't know what trauma it is, but we know that there's a trauma going on. And it's just, I feel like the world building is, there's too little of it. Like, there is world building, but she's just mentioning little things here and there, and there is a list in the beginning, but I feel like before I start reading a book, those lists don't make any sense to me, because I'm like, okay, Aphrodite, Torah, patron star of Aphrodite, okay, what is a patron star? What is Aphrodite? Is it a country? Is it a person? Is it, you know? So I don't feel that, like, that list is helping me that much. And she was like, oh, because you're a Helian, and I was like, what's a Helian? And then apparently I think I figured out that that is a country, but then she like hates the love interest, who I assume is the love interest, immediately because he is a Helian and he has a reputation, and we've heard like little bit of his reputation, that he's like a rake and all of those, you know, good stuff, but I don't understand the hate. Why do these people from these two different countries immediately despise each other? Do they? Do all of them? Is that a thing? Is it just the prince and her? Is it like, I have a lot of question marks. The beginning gave me a lot of question marks, and it felt, the first 70 pages have felt that we're just jumping from popular trope to popular trope. I don't feel like there's that much depth yet. And I feel like sometimes sentences don't make that much sense, and reactions and responses don't make that much sense to me. So for now, I'm not that intrigued. I kind of I find myself backing away from picking it up a little bit, which I'm sad about because it sounded like it was really going to be something for me. I am going to keep reading it. I am, you know, going to give it a chance because, as I said, I'm only 70 pages in. But there will be no 5-star prediction for this one, I'm sad to say. The cover is stunning. Like, the cover is gorgeous. I love the cover. I am hoping that the insides will follow. So I'm gonna keep reading and, you know, finish the last book for this video. Yeah, that was really it. That was my entire update.
And you know how she says microwave, so I've got pecan.
The problem with filming in front of a window is that people can see me and I can see people. The last book of this video, and we didn't exactly end on a high note. We didn't end on a super low note either, but I didn't love this. I'm not obsessed with it. I think it started out well, like the first 2 chapters, and then the pace changed, and if the entire thing felt rushed, and because it felt rushed, it felt like we were told things more than shown them. So we were like told that the main character comes to this other like kingdom or court or whatever you want to call it, who are supposedly her enemies. We don't really find out why they're her enemies until she's been there for a little while, which is like, the prince immediately hates you, you immediately hate the prince. Why? It's just okay, that's just the natural law of this kingdom, that, or like of this place, is that these 2 courts or kingdoms are enemies. Okay, I can buy that. But then everyone else around her, she quickly becomes friends with, and we are more told, like, for example, her like handmaiden or whatever you want to call it, or whatever it is called, because I can't actually remember, but the person who like dresses her and brings her food and all of that stuff, because she's still kind of a prisoner. We're not shown that their friendship develops, but from one chapter to the next we're just told that now these 2 people are friends, and we have seen them interact like once or twice, and suddenly they're really good close friends. And it was kind of the same with the love interest and the love story. There's not much plot throughout most of this book. Like, it starts off having plot and intrigue, and then the plot stands still and is like static for, I would say, like 60% of the book, and it's just the romance that is focused on during those percent, with like one thing thrown in that's plot adjacent. And for me personally, a lot of the romance felt shoppy, and it felt like we were simply moving from one trope to the next. I'm a person who loves tropes. Like, tropes are tropes for a reason. They're popular for a reason because everyone loves them. But when you throw that many into one book and then at the same time don't have like the plot that carries those romance tropes, but you kind of move the happenings of the story to fit the occurrence of these tropes, to fit the tropes in, it gets shoppy and not believable to me. And since this is a romantasy and the romance is the main plot, when that didn't work, there wasn't much to keep me interested. I didn't really vibe with the writing style. I felt like it was stressed and it was unclear at times, and then at other times it was overly explained with the whole like we were told things instead of shown things. And the points where I wanted more information, because I felt like I needed more information to understand the like world building or the hate these characters originally had for each other, and you know, all of those things, that was kind of rushed through and just like mentioned and like they hate each other, moving on. And then it's like the dialogue at times also felt stiff, and I had to reread some parts, as I mentioned, because I was like, this, he says that and her response is that, why would why is that? How did that conversation get here? Like, it didn't really make sense to me all the time, and it kind of also felt in the same way as it did with the tropes, that the conversation was just made so that that one line could be delivered, kind of. And the ending, again, it felt rushed. It felt... this is still a thick book, so I feel like it with some editing and some more plot which would guide the romance, I feel like this could be really good. It had a lot of potential. It does have a lot of potential, like the storyline in and of itself, and the world building is really fascinating. I just wanted more of it, and I wanted to know more about, like, since we didn't get that much world building, the whole, like, every time a star was mentioned, every time I felt like it was kind of just thrown in my face that this is this star and it's the patron of this place or whatever, and then they moved on, and I'm like, well, I want to know where did the stars come from? How are they patrons? How does that dynamic between them work? Do all the courts worship their gods? What do people from different courts look like? Because apparently one court has blue hair. Like, I wanted more of that, just to, like, give a depth to the story. And since it had a lot of potential, and I still, I read the whole thing, I think I'm gonna end up giving it a 2.5 star, just because the world building is there, like, it exists. We just didn't get it in the book, and since I wish that it could have been a bit more developed, I don't, like, hate it. I'm not going to read the second book though, which is why I feel like I can't bump it up to 3-star, because 3 stars I often still read the next book of, because there's a potential that the next book will be a 4-star instead of it, but I don't feel that way with this book. I'm a little bit sick of the whole he's a rake who's experienced in bed, and she's shocked at the displays of this court, that they're so outrageous, and oh, I'm not a virgin, but oh, we don't show those things in our, like, and that, I'm like, I don't really like that, if we should call it trope. It's not for me. I can like it sometimes, but when it's like most romantic books, or like when it's always that role that the man is more experienced, and I guess it's because if the man isn't experienced, the man is not actually good in bed, because apparently men needs a lot of learning, because that's, like, the only reason why they would do it like that, and then it's so that he can show her what real pleasure actually is and how sex actually supposed to be, and that's where they fall in love. But I feel like both of them can be experienced, or not experienced, and still get that with each other, because then it's better sex because of their love for each other. And I feel like I want to see that more in books. That's just my personal opinion, but I would enjoy that a lot in a book, really. We're ending at a 2.5 star. Emmy, I am so sorry, but I love the cover. I do. I love the cover of this book. It's very pretty. It's just not great for me personally. Ooh, hot guy. But he looked really good. He was really handsome. He didn't see me though. He just strolled by across the street. Like, my god, was that man hot. But guys, that was that for this video. The last book has been read. The last page has been turned. But the last BookTok recommendation has not been had. I am going to take more. I might do this again, because I did really enjoy it. I picked up some books that I never would have picked up otherwise. So I'm really happy about that. I had some ups and downs, some tears were shed, a lot of laughs were had, but it was amazing. So thank you to all the booktokers who are unknowingly in this video. But to all the booktokers that give us recommendations and are just amazing people who are so funny and have such good book tastes, even if mine does not always align with theirs. But that happens, you know, we're people, and everything we like and enjoy is going to be subjective, because we all have different, you know, emotions and experiences and thoughts that affect our reading experiences, you know. But I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.